Jam on toast.
Hey there, welcome to the Jam on Camera. Today the toast is to Blade. This is a review for week 46 of hashtag We Are Movie Club. This week's pick is Charlie's. The short sell on this one is that a day-walking vampire wants to kill as many of them as he can before he gets taken out, and he has to fight something a little stronger in this story arc. My love it for this one was got to be the story about Blade's mother, like the whole thing from beginning to end. Very intriguing to the point where I was questioning where they were going with some things towards the end, or in the later parts of the movie. The hate it for this one was probably the general behavior of the vampires, especially the wasted blood. I've never got why taking your food and smearing it everywhere and letting it drip all over the floor was ever a thing. You shouldn't really have to clean up terribly much after vampires because they should be like, oh, this is precious, let me finish it off. Or let me preserve it, or let me get this whole thing out of here. I just don't get it. The MVP for this, of course, was Wesley Snipes. He is Blade, he carries Blade, he personifies the character really well, to the point where if I ever go back and read his comics, I'm going to read it with Wesley Snipes in mind. He's the Blade to me. I can't help it. Let's go on to the categories.
Aesthetics.
Look, this is an action movie. They do lots of good action stuff. They have fighting and swords and vampire fangs. And it's... I don't like the vampire fangs all that much. I think there's actually a couple instances it gets worse, probably the more movies you go on. But where like the fangs kind of interfere with them talking properly, and they do that stupid thing where they jump out and they hiss. And it's like, motherfucker, I got fangs too. I don't understand what the motivation is in vampires doing that, especially purebloods, where they should understand what's going on. But the music's great, the action scenes are done really well, the look is all done really well, it's very contiguous to the comics. I really like the dialogue that they give him, how standoffish Blade is, and how Whistler is just this very gruff old man who shouldn't be doing what he is, but he's still doing it, and you don't need any other character context in to look at him. Aesthetics gets an 83.
Character development.
Like a lot of action films, they tend to not work on the characters or the writing or anything meaningful. Now, this could not be their fault. It could be the fault of the original writers for Blade. I'm not entirely positive, but he's kind of dull, he's kind of boring, he doesn't really do much with himself. He's like, oh, I need to kill vampires, I want to drink blood, but I'm gonna... they do a lot more with the doctor lady who, I can't remember her name, so that's how important she was in my head. Whistler, I think, actually got a good bit of character development, a lot of subtle character development that you don't realize they did until you watch the other movies, but hey, they did some, and it's good, and it's there. The villains are fucking horrible. They're developed just poorly. It's, I want to do whatever I can, because I'm going to do whatever I can, because I'm Deacon Frost. That might as well have been his character. He got the bad pretty boy down, but the vampire council is just weak. Really, it should not have been that easy, even if they had ultraviolet sunproof lotion. Character development got a 78.
Storyline.
Believe it or not, I actually really like this storyline. I think this is a wonderful premise for vampires. There's a Dhampir that's born from a pregnant woman getting bit, passing the virus onto the fetus, or I guess at that point it's a pre-infant. I don't know what you call that, when it's in utero about to breach. But because they share an immunity system, like, he gets infected. For whatever reason, it doesn't go through because baby, I don't know, reasons. And hell, that's a hell of a reason for someone to go on killing vampires. I wish I could steal it and go on, but I wouldn't feel good about that. I've got my own vampire hunter stories that I think are a little bit similar, but and maybe even inspired of, but I'm not going to say like it's exactly the same, or I wouldn't dare use a Dhampir because Blade, and it's worth respecting. The whole thing with Whistler and all that tragic backstory, and the idea that there's other hunters out there like this is really nice. The idea of pure vampires trying to manipulate everything is really good. it's so nice that like on paper everything looks great, and then the execution it's like meh. Storyline gets an 88.
Compulsion.
Look, this is a fun movie. It's fun. It's not. I want to say it's not super memorable, but before I watched the first one, I actually really kind of remembered all three movies, and I was like, you know, I gotta watch the other ones after this. And I did. I really like the second one better, but this is still good, and it's worth watching to build up the second one. Every time I want to watch the second one. So I'm gonna watch this movie again. It's going to happen. Even if I say it's a boring action movie, even if I say, like, hey, the films are all wonky, I'm gonna watch this again. It was a good time. Compulsion gets an 85. Now, if you total all that up, you get an average of 83.5. For my rep review, I'm just gonna say that despite its holes, it's worth watching it and the other two movies. The third one being more of a comedy than anything else because Ryan Reynolds, but the second one is definitely worth it if you're a horror fan, or a gore fan, or a monster fan, or you want to see a new take on vampires that really hasn't been duplicated since. I'm super weirded out by that now that I think about it. But once again, this was a review for #WeAreMovieClub. This week's pick was Charlie because he likes these action type feel-good movies. It's weird to say that, but it really is just one of those things. And then next week is going to be my pick again, and we're going to go back on a trip of memory lane of romance to She's All That. A consistent number 2 on my celebrity hottie list, Rachel Lee Cook. Probably largely in part to this movie, but she's been my sweetheart since we were back in high school age, so maybe she's a year older than me, I can't remember. Anyways, go ahead, watch the movie, do your own movie review, run comments on it, #WeAreMovieClub or @WeAreMovieClub on the Twitters, and let us know what you think if you want to get involved or help out. Get in contact with us, we're super open to it. Hell. That's it for me though, I'm Camerai, have a nice day.
If you want to see anything else we're up to, go ahead and click the annotations and they'll take you to our other channels.